It's something that often occurred to me as I observe, if you go to the luxury areas, for example, Milan, let's say, Monte Napoleone, where all the flagship stores are, and you observe, it's a very different feeling than in somewhere like in Dubai or in Geneva or in Singapore and so on. So not only do the brands mean different things to them, but also the consumption of luxury means different aspects to those cultures as well. It's quite interesting. It probably deserves deeper research into this cross-culture meaning as well. So looking at luxury brands, even within the luxury brands, we call it luxury brands, but actually they can be classified across very different categories in terms of status, symbolism, in terms of offerings, quality, and so on, and even the clients they attract. But on the whole, if we look at it as one big quadrant along an axis of niche luxury or mastige and so on, why is it that some brands hold a deeper emotional bond with consumers, whereas others are so interchangeable and are a little bit more superficial? What do you think it is? What's the missing ingredient?
We come back to the very beginning. It is the authenticity of the brand. People feel it when they get used for the brand's interest. And it is like a relationship between humans. You sniff it, you feel it when somebody is interested in you because you have access to people, or you are in a part of society that they aspire to be with, or that you have money. These are false friends. And loyalty towards human beings, or real friendship, comes with disinterested interest. And I feel some luxury brands are still loyal to their customers out of real passion for what they do and for real respect and appreciation for the people who patronize them. Whilst there are other brands who just became too much driven by the commercial goals and growth, and they use the customers for their own interests. And sad examples are those brands who just try to maximize their profits at the expense of workers, that we have seen in Italy, for example, in the past 2 years, who trade in animal cruelty for profits, who trade in bad quality for growth, who trade in absurd pricing for higher profits. That is not good behavior. And that is where they lose out on the emotional attachment of customers.
You mentioned the Fabergé Museum. I'm interested in those. There was, those kind of museums are fascinating. Something, not exactly museums, but there was the big show of the Cartier jewelry in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London for a while, which showcased all the jewelry that were owned by, philanthropists or celebrities or kings and queens. Why do brands do that? They do these kind of experiential, immersive spaces.
That's what we call artification of luxury. And that adds, again, a very harmless layer of sophistication. Because art is something very difficult to argue about. It is something pure and harmless and beautiful and morally pure, I would say. And it is something very intellectual. And that adds a layer of culture and sophistication that raises the cultural value of the luxury brand.
Do you think storytelling also helps?
Yeah. Again, here it's a little bit the way how you do it. Do you really have a story to tell? Do you really have a message coming with your brand? And I'm not only talking about old legacies. I mean, if you have a legacy like Mercedes-Benz, that you're just the first car in the world that can be driven by random people, that is a story you cannot beat, right? If you're the first one, there is no second first one, right? So that's great. But I think there is a wonderful opportunity right now for new brands, for new luxury brands, as long as they are relevant and they have a real message, meaning story to tell.
Yeah.
If they're on a mission. And like ID Genève, you did your podcast here with Nicolas Freudiger. He is on a mission, and they are a very new luxury brand, but they have Leonardo DiCaprio as I think he's involved in the business, right?
Yeah.
So that is possible, but you need to have something where you add to people's lives, and then you can tell a great story.
Because often I see it added on as an afterthought from a marketing perspective. And I often think, okay, well, what's that serving for the brand really? Okay, so coming back to authenticity. So when we're speaking about brand authenticity, do you think authenticity is under threat at the moment with many brands?
Oh yes, big time, because it's all revolving around the same topic, that if you have things to hide, then it means you are not integer, you're not authentic. Integrity is a big dimension of authenticity. And with the arrival of AI, fake news, hyper commercialization, people are just drowning in somehow fake information, in fake products, in artificial nutriments. Like everything is fake, and people want to go back to the farmer's market. They want to feel real. They want to be in an Ayurveda retreat to purify. So we have this big need of breathing, and authenticity would fill this need. But the more it is being needed, obviously the harder it is to achieve. And even look at people. I mean, honestly, who dares, and I don't exclude myself, who dares to go outside without makeup? Who dares to go outside with, unmade nails or stuff like that? It starts there, where you feel like, yeah, big kudos to you. We're all playing a role. And the question is like, do you still know who you are? Are you anchored in yourself? Are you rooted in yourself? And do you regularly take care of thinking about what are my values, and am I acting in accordance with these values? And the same with luxury brands. As soon as they are putting made in France, but they do everything to fulfill the minimum requirement to still be able to call it made in France, and the rest is outsourced, like, yeah, then you already know you're on the brink of being inauthentic. So it's all the managerial decision making. And yes, these are tough decisions. These are unpopular decisions. These are expensive decisions. If you keep your production in Switzerland, that costs a fortune, but it is authentic.
Yeah.
And that comes at the expense of growing. Yes. Or Hermès, they have so much production still in their original manufacture. And they decide to not grow like hell. They just stop producing if it's becoming too much demand. Like where every economist would say, are you crazy? This is completely counter managerial and rational decision making. But this is where the manager, the real luxury manager, is demanded of making tough decisions.
So do you think that then consumers are a lot more skeptical, or a lot more judgmental about the authenticity of the brand?
Yeah, especially the young people. But again, it's very easy to be judgmental about the authenticity without being yourself authentic.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot with the claims for sustainability, for example. Like, yeah, it's easy to point at the companies and say, you bad ones. But then you ask, or you look at how those consumers are behaving themselves, and this is far away from sustainable behavior. So we are all demanded of contributing our share and stopping pointing fingers, but rather thinking like, having empathy for everyone who tries to make their steps, even if it's baby steps, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes even a little bit taken off by people who say, these companies, they do greenwashing because they do not do enough. These consumers are not empathetic with how difficult it is to change processes of a company that have grown over years, where sustainability was not designed into the process, to change that. But at least if you have some managers who take money, who take resources to change that, then you should applaud them and not punish them for not doing enough in the shortest amount of time. So we are all needed to create empathy for each other and take responsibility all together.
Yeah, especially that, luxury brands, even before anything, they've always been under attack for being, environmentally unaware and creating materialism in societies. There's always been that attack against luxury brands. And while I respect both views, but on this channel in particular, I like to look at the side of what does luxury do for us? So in one of the topics, for example, I explored how luxury actually is good for us in terms of it preserves culture, it preserves artisanal know-how passed on through generations. In Japan, for example, the art of making the kimono or certain carpet making and so on. So, I do respect both views, but, and like you said, we should respect the little efforts or the baby steps that brands are doing in terms of sustainability as well.
I love what you're saying because I have the same clinch in my head. And once my mom said to me, "Why are you so interested in that luxury stuff? I did not educate you like that." And I thought, "Hey, Mom, your own mother was an opera singer. You grew up in a theater family. You are a bookseller. So what do you think where all this is coming from?" Because it is that part of the beautiful arts, right, that inspire luxury. It's not, and luxury has become a very commercial phenomenon. But if you think about it, it is about art. It's about aesthetics. It's about beauty. It's about harmony. These are nice values, and about sophistication, about education. There is nothing wrong with that. And I'm a big defender of luxury. Absolutely.
Especially brands that are overexposed versus the brands that are a little bit more contained in terms of production, which the thought that I was going to say was, those luxury brands that are seen everywhere and are very easy to attain, which is a little bit kind of against the concept of what luxury is, which is desirable and it's somewhere there and a little bit less attainable and so on. So do you think those massively available brands, without naming any of course, but those mastige brands that are produced in masses, and you see, the tourists coming into their flagship store in buses and just taking masses of the product, does that compromise its authenticity and its luxury symbolism as well?
My answer would be yes. Because again, it is first of all a wish for, it's in a commercial interest, right? If you throw the stuff on the market, there is this dream formula in luxury that you probably know by Dubois and Paternoux already from the 90s, which says you need to keep the gap wide between those people who know a brand and those people who can actually acquire it, which is, again, a politically incorrect statement nowadays because we all want to be equal. But the dream of once owning a specific item vanishes on the spot when you have it in your hands and it's yours. Then you're not dreaming of it anymore, right? And we all know this effect. Once you have bought this pair of shoes, once you have bought this car, after a week, you get used to it. And then the next thing has to come up. Yeah. So, and that is a tricky thing. And the pitfall for many managers, that you need to keep this gap. You should not succumb to this seduction of, there is a bus full of tourists and they all want my stuff. At some point, you need to say no to your customers. And that is probably the hardest thing to do. And but that keeps you desirable. And I'm coming back to human beings. If you are somebody who is available for everyone, then people don't find you that special anymore, right?
Yes, restricted. Is that why you think they create these queues?
Yeah, that is fake rarity. It's a little bit ridiculous, but yes, for a while it worked.
Yeah. I mean, they still exist.
Yeah.
They keep a queue, a very long queue outside with only a few people in the store. So, so being unattainable is, we have many examples of long waiting lists for a year or more as well. That's probably part of the psychology of creating it.
Yes. Yeah. And there's very interesting research also that unpacked a little bit this waiting list phenomenon. And what I find very interesting is that some brands really test or examine their customers, whether they can make it to the wait list through their knowledge about the brand. So you really have to go through an examination. It's not called examination, but the people who can decide, am I going to put you on the wait list or not, they want to see that you really suffered for this brand in terms of money, in terms of learning about it, in terms of worshiping it. Then you are included in a circle of people who are eligible. And that there is no shortcut. You cannot buy yourself into this wait list. You have to bleed and sweat for it.
It's very interesting, this concept of a lot of psychology. Is your background in psychology?
Yes, also. I studied communication science, but one of the tracks was psychology. Right. I was pondering, should I do communication science or psychology? And I'm glad I did both.
Yeah, that comes through with your angle of interest as well, which is a deeper understanding of why we consume luxury brands